Welcome to this predicted paper from onmaths that is based on the advanced information given to us by the exam boards. Please use this paper in addition to your other revision. You can complete a unique version of this paper by going to our onmaths site. Onmaths is full of free content to help you prepare for your exams, such as topic-based papers, demon questions and mini mocks. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing. So we have an original amount, and this represents 100% of the original amount. The new price, or new amount, represents 113% because it has said that it has gone up by 13%. So it has increased by 13%. And as a value, that increase is £1,287. So it's 13% of the original. It's gone up 13% of the original price. So what we're going to do is we're going to work out what 1% of the price increase is. Instead of 13%, we're going to work out what 1% is. And we're going to do that by dividing the amount by 13. And we get 99. So 1% represents £99, so 1% of the original represents £99. But the new amount is 113%. So we need to times the £99 by 113, which gives us £11,187. So the picture is now worth £11,187. We need to first of all work out the theoretical probability. And to do that, we do the successful outcomes over the total number of outcomes. So here we're asked, it lands on a red is successful, so that's going to be 15 over the total amounts. That'd be 40 plus 30 plus 15, which is 85. Okay, now to find the expected amount, it's just the theoretical probability, which is 15 over 85, times the amount of trials, where it says it's spun 500 times. We just go times it by 500. And we get the answer of 88.235, blah, blah, blah. And we're always going to round that down. Okay, so if it's 88.9, we're always going to round it down to 88. Only when it gets to 89 do we write 89. So our answer is that we're expecting roughly 88. So here we're asked to find how many bread rolls we can make. We've got 89 kilograms and it takes 0.08 kilograms to make a bread roll. Something we can do is convert these into grams, or we can just keep it at kilograms, but I've got a neat little trick. And the trick is, if you've got a decimal when you're dividing, as long as you do the same thing left and right, you can multiply them by 10 or 100. In this case, we're going to multiply both by 100 because it will make the division a lot easier, because it will make this right hand side, instead of 0.08, it will just make it 8. The reason we can do that is 89 divided by is the same as 89 over 0.08. And as a fraction, we can just times top and bottom by 100. So it would be this over 8. So now we can do the bus stop method. So 8 on the outside. And in fact, I might use a straighter line here. There we are. And we've got 8,900 on the inside. So 8 into 8 go 1, 8 into 9 go 1, remainder 1, 8 into 10 go 2, remainder 2, and 8 into 20 go 2, remainder 4, and 8 into 40 go 5. Now it says how many bread rolls can we make. Now we can make 1,122 and a half. Well, half doesn't really count, so we're just going to say 1,122 whole bread rolls. Yes, we've got half a bread roll left over, but we are asked how many whole bread rolls can we make. So we're going to go through this shape and work out the area of each of the shapes in the triangular base prism. So we're going to start with this triangle at the front, And the formula for working out the area of a triangle is half times the base, which is 12, times the height. And so that's going to be 54. Next thing I'm going to do is work out the rectangle here. And so the width of it's 23 and the length is 15. So we're going to do 23 times 15, which is 345. We're going to do the base of the triangle, or rectangle, sorry, at the bottom. And so that is going to be 23 times 12. And that is 276. And the next thing we're going to do is this rectangle at the back, which is going to be, I'm going to call D. And that is going to be 9 times the width, which is 23. So that's 207. Now we do have another triangle, but actually that's the same as A. So when we're working out the surface area, we're going to do 2 lots of A plus B plus C plus D. And that gives us 936. So the answer is 936 centimetres squared. We can write the equation of any straight line as y equals mx plus c, m being the gradient and c being the y-intercept. Now the y-intercept is the easy one because it's just where the line crosses the y-axis. In this case, it's going to cross it at 2. Now to find the gradient, we need to find 2 coordinates that we know, and preferably next to each other. So I'm going to pick the same coordinate, the y-intercept coordinate, and this coordinate here, we know what that is. And the definition of the gradient is for every one we go to the right, how far up we go. Well, here we actually go down, so we're technically going -3 up. So the gradient is going to be -3 because it's gone down 3. So our equation is m equals -3x plus 2. The first thing to notice is that the tree must be closer to CD than AB. So if we draw a line across the middle, it can't be in the top bit because that would be closer to line AB. The second piece of information that is given to us is it must be at least 11 meters away from point C. So we get our compass out and measure 11 centimeters, or whatever the scale we're using in this diagram is, and we draw a quarter circle from C. And it says shade the region that it can be planted. So this is the region that represents closer to line CD than AB, but also not within 11 meters of point C. To prove triangle congruence, you're going to have one of 4 answers. You're either going to have RHS, SSS, angle, angle, side, or angle, side, angle, and the last one, side, angle, side. So those are our options. So we've got to figure out what we have in this question. Well, we have a right angle, so an angle or right angle. We've got a side, which is actually the hypotenuse, because we know the hypotenuse is opposite the right angle. And then we just have another side. Now, it's not going to be SSS because we don't have 3 sides. We do have a side and an angle and a side, but the 2 sides are not next to the angle, so it's not going to be that one. And we don't have 2 angles, so it's not going to be this one. So the last one is RHS, which is right angle, which we have, hypotenuse, which we have, and side. So to answer this question, you need to just know the answer off by heart. There is a diagram that can help us actually get there. And if we just draw a right angle triangle and put the lengths as 1, we've got right angle here, we can use Pythagoras, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, to work out the fact that this is going to be root 2. Because it's an isosceles triangle, This angle here is going to be 45 degrees, and same with the bottom right one, but we're not interested in that. When we label it with our marked angle here, we've got the adjacent is here and the hypotenuse is here. Now we know from trigonometry that cos x equals a over h. The angle is going to be cos 45, and a is going to be 1, and h is going to be root 2. Now, this is a bit of a strange one with 1 over root 2, because we need to actually be able to rationalise the denominator. And basically what that means, if you haven't done surds yet, or you aren't doing surds, is you times tom 1 by root 2. And so we end up with root 2 over 2. So if you ever see 1 over root 2 is absolutely fine as an answer, but if you ever see the answer as root 2 over 2, the two are actually exactly the same. So writing 1 over root 2 is fine, or writing root 2 over 2 is also correct. So the first term will be 50 to the power of 1. Anything to the power of 1 is just itself, so that will just be 50. The next one will be 50 squared, so that's going to be 50 times 50, which would be 5 times 5 times 10 times 10, 25 times 100, which would be 250, 2,500 even. And then last one is 50 cubed, so that's going to be the 2,500 times 50 again. And so when you times that out, you get 125,000. So there are two outcomes that it will rain once in the next 2 days, and that will be rain and not rain, and not rain and rain. So to work out the probability, it will rain on Monday and then not rain on Tuesday. What you're going to do is just multiply 6 over 20 by the 2 over 7. So 6 over 20 times 2 over 7. And that will give us 12 over 140. And to work out the probability, it will not rain on Monday and rain on the Tuesday. We're just going to multiply the 14 over 20 by the 5 over 7. And so that would be 14 over 20 times 5 over 7. And that will give us, 70 over 140. Now we're looking for the probability it will rain and not rain, or not rain and rain. The word or in probability means add, so we're going to get that 12 over 140 and add it to the 70 over 140, and that will give us 82 over 140, and then we can cancel that down to 41 over 70. With this question, you've just got to know what the different functions look like. So with C and D, we've got quadratic functions. One's a positive quadratic, which is a U shape. One's a negative quadratic, which is a kind of upside down U shape or an N shape. And here we don't have that, so we can get rid of those in our thoughts straight away. A is a positive cubic, which goes up, then down, then up again. And B is a negative cubic, which goes down, up, and then down again. So this one here goes up, down, up again. That's going to be a positive cubic. So our answer is A. So we're looking for the acceleration between 3 and 5 seconds. And acceleration is calculated by the change in velocity. So we're going to see how much the velocity's changed. So it started at 90 and it's gone up to 200, so that would be 110, over the time. Now the time is 2 seconds, so it's going to be 110 divided by 2, which is 55, and the units will be the meters per second, because that's kilometers, sorry, that's velocity, per second, or meters per second squared. And so it's 55 meters per second squared. So if the area of the rectangle is 10 and one of the lengths is root 75, to find the other length we do the area divided by the length given, and that will work out what the other length is. Root 75 though is something that can be simplified, so let's simplify that. And it's root 25 root 3, so it's 5 root 3. So this equals 10 over 5 root 3. Now notice top and bottom can be simplified, so that becomes 2 over root 3. And we're asked to rationalise the denominator, so we're going to times this by root 3 over root 3. And so we end up with 2 root 3 over 3. So our answer is 2 root 3 over 3. We're going to write this out again just to give us a bit more space. So we've got s equals 4 minus 13t over t minus 5. I'm going to get our lines in. Okay, so the first thing I need to do is get rid of this fraction. Always get rid of any fractions. I'm going to do that by multiplying both sides by t minus 5. So we're going to end up with s brackets t minus 5 equals 4 minus 13t. I'm going to break open those brackets just by multiplying them out. So it's st minus 5s equals 4 minus 13t. And the objective here is to get all the t's on the same side. So I'm going to add the 5s and I'm going to add the 13t. So add 5s and then add 13t. And so effectively we're just moving this on the other side and this on the other side. So we're left with st plus 13t equals 4 plus 5s. Now when we've got the t's on the same side, we can factorise out the t's. So t bracket s plus 13 equals 4 plus 5s. And then we can get rid of this by dividing both sides by s plus 13. And so we're left with t equals 4 plus 5s over s plus 13. So our answer is 4 plus 5s, all of that over s plus 13. And it can be the way around, so I could have 5s plus 4 over 13 plus s, or anything like that. I'm going to start by getting x equal to the 0.847 recurring. And I'm just going to show that with 3 dots. And we want to bring forward everything that's not part of the recurring pattern. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find out what 10x is. And that's going to be 8.4747. So what I've done is I've just got the recurring pattern after the decimal point. And what I want to do now is bring forward one of the occurrences of the recurring pattern, so the 4 and the 7, just one of them. So we're going to times it by 1,000. We'll find out 1,000x, and so it'd be 847.4747, etc., etc. Next, I'm going to take away everything. So 1000x take away 10x, and that's going to be 990x, and then 847.4747, etc. Take away 8.4747, etc. It's just going to be the same as 847 take away 8, because the recurring stuff will just cancel each other out. So 847 take away 8 is 839. And now I'm just going to put my lines in. And so what I'm going to do now is just divide both sides by 990. And so on the left hand side we've got x, and on the right hand side we have 839 divided by or over 990. So as a fraction it's going to be 839 over 990. So the rules of indices state that if you have a power inside and outside of a bracket, we just multiply them together. So it's 10 to the power of minus 12 times minus 12. Two negatives make a positive, and 12 times 12 is 144. So for this question, first thing to notice is there's a divide there, and we can actually just write this as a fraction. So 10 plus root 2 over 14 plus root 2. I'm going to keep the brackets there. We don't need them when it's in a fraction, but it will help us for the next step. So we're asked to transport this or change this into a fraction without a surd at the bottom. And so it's basically asking us to rationalise the denominator. Now, when you have two terms, including a surd at the bottom, we need to do something a bit special with this. And the thing we do is we times it by the opposite bracket. And what I mean by that is if it's 14 plus root 2, we times it by 14 minus root 2. And we've got to do the same to the top. And the reason for that is essentially here all we're doing is we're timesing it by 1, because 14 minus root 2 over 14 minus root 2 is just 1. So we're timesing it by 1, so we're not changing the fraction at all. Okay, let's draw a grid to work out what that will equal. And you can use any method you want. You can use double smiles and rainbows, FOIL, whatever method you have to multiply two such brackets. I'm going to start off with the top. The top is 10 plus root 2 times 14 minus root 2. So 14 times 10 is 140. 14 times root 2 is just 14 root 2. 10 times minus root 2 is minus 10 root 2. And then a minus and a positive make a minus, and root 2 times root 2 is just 2. Now, when you expand surdy brackets, these two and these two will add together. Okay, so we're going to start off with the numbers. 140 take away 2 is 138. And then we'll do the surd. So 14 root 2 take away 10 root 2 is plus 4 root 2. Okay, so the top is going to be 138 plus 4 root 2. And let's do the bottom. And I like these grids because you can see if you've made any mistakes quite quickly with these. You can check your working. So 14 plus root 2 times 14 minus root 2. You'll see why in a second we do the opposite. So 14 times 14 is 196. 14 root 2 minus 14 root 2 and then minus 2. So you can see here now there's a 14 root 2 plus minus a 14 root 2. Let's just cancel each other out to 0. So we get rid of the surd. And then 196 take away 2, which is 194. So we've got 194 at the bottom. Now something we notice here is that all the terms in the fraction are even, therefore we can halve everything. So 138 halved is 69, 4 root 2 halved is 2 root 2, and 194 halved is 97. And so that would be 69 there, and that would be 2, and then that would be 97. You can complete a unique version of this paper by going to our onmaths site. Onmaths is full of free content to help you prepare for your exams, such as topic-based papers, demon questions, and mini mocks. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing.